This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, listen carefully here. So, in the previous class, we clearly discussed the purpose of swings. Swings are specially used to develop the desktop applications. So, to develop the desktop applications, we are using swings. So, this Java is providing JFC to us. JFC stands for Java Foundation Classes. So, JFC is the library, Java Foundation Classes. It is the library that provides several classes and interfaces to develop the desktop applications. To develop the GUI applications, it is providing several classes and interfaces. All those classes and interfaces are placed in Java X.Swing package. Okay, so before this Swings concept, we were using AWT. So this AWT library developed in the native programming languages like C, C++. So platform dependency problem will occur. Okay, and these are the heavyweight components. Means they take more memory and more processing time. So to avoid these drawbacks, they introduced what swings concept. Okay, the swings are lightweight components and these are platform independent. These components are platform independent. Okay, so in the previous class we clearly discussed about frame, J frame, and also we have seen about label, J label. So now what is the purpose of label? Label is used to display the titles. Label is used to display the titles. So in today's session I want to talk about buttons and events and text boxes. How can we work with the buttons? Okay, how can we perform actions on those buttons? Okay, and text boxes. So these topics I will discuss in today's session. Okay, so button, J button, class name is what? J button. J button is the class name. J button. So what is the purpose of J button? What is the purpose of button? This button is used to perform, button is used to perform particular actions. If you want to perform particular actions, we can use buttons. Okay, so regularly we are using so many forms. In the forms, regularly we find so many command boxes. Like for example, see here, this is a form. This is a form or frame. On this frame, username. This is text box. So this username is the label. This one is what? Text field, text box. Okay. Next, password, password, text box. So below of that, a button is there, login, and another button is there, cancel. So here this login, cancel, these are called buttons. Why we are using these buttons? These buttons are used to perform particular actions. So here we are typing username and password, and when we are clicking on login button, okay, on login button we are clicking. So this is called event. This is called event. So we are clicking on login. When we are clicking on login, that checks whether you are authorized user or not. Okay, if username and if your username and password is matched with their existing database, okay, if that is Gmail ID, that displays inbox to you. If that is Gmail website, that displays inbox to you. If that is Facebook, that displays front page to you. Okay, or otherwise whenever you are clicking on cancel, okay, that closes the window like that. So here cancel means you are performing the action, login means you are performing the action like that. For example, here one form is there. Okay, like that is asking our details like first name, last name. For example, I want to open account in one bank through the online. Okay, so they are asking my details, my first name, last name, address. Okay, so like this they are asking the details. After that, after entering all those details, we are clicking on which button? Save button. We're clicking on save button. Thus data will be saved in the database. For example, I want to edit my form. For that they are providing edit button here. I want to delete my form. I want to delete my details. I want to delete my record. Delete button they are providing. Okay, I want to terminate this form. So close button they are providing. So I'm closing the application, I'm deleting the record, I'm editing the record, I'm saving the record. All these are what? Actions. So to perform particular actions, we are using button. That is the purpose of button. Okay. So how can we create the button? Now listen, my task is just simply I want to place one button on frame. So here create one JFrame window. My task is create one JFrame window. Create one JFrame. On JFrame, I want to place one button with the text click me. With the text click me. That's it. This is my task. So on the frame, is a frame. On the frame, I want to place one button at some position. That is my task. So for that, what we have to do? See here. First, we have to create object for JButton class. First, we have to create object for JButton class. So JButton B1 equals to new JButton, new JButton. Okay, if you want to give the title here, okay, the button what we want to display, click me. So right click me here, click me. Okay, or if you want to give this value later, or if you want to give this value later, okay, you can use one method, that is set text method. Set text click me, set text click me. Okay, so this click me text will be displayed on the button. Then where you want to place this button, where you want to place this button, that you have to specify. So to specify the position, we have one method. That method is what? Set bounds method. Yesterday also we used to place the label, we used set bounds method. Now also same. Okay, so now also same, set bounds, set bounds. On x-axis value, so on x-axis, so this value, so assume that this is x-axis, this value assume that 200, this value assume that 100. So at 200 position means at this position I want to place this button with some width 100, with some height 60 or 70. Okay, so for that specify here 200 is the x-axis value. Okay, y-axis value I'm giving as 100, and I want 110 width, 110 width of button, 70 width, 70 height, 70 height, 110 width. So this one is the width, this one is the height. So this width is I'm giving 110, and this height I'm giving as 70. Okay, so where we want to place it? On frame. So before this we have to create the frame. The frame object is f. So in the f object I want to place it. So f dot add which component? B1 component. This is the code to place the button. This is the code to place the button. Okay, so for almost all components some common properties are there, like set text property. Okay, set bounds property. To set the background, set background property. To set the background color, set background property. To set the font color, set foreground property. Okay, set mnemonic property. Sorry, no, not properties, methods. Set mnemonics, set mnemonic. These are all methods, not properties. Sorry, all these are methods. Set mnemonic method. Okay, set visible method. Okay, set enabled method. Set enable method. Okay, such type of common methods are available. So all these are what? These are the common methods. All these are the common methods for the components. Okay, for any component some common methods are there. What are those? Like set visible. Okay, just a minute. Okay, these are the common methods of the components. Okay, so what are the common methods? Like set text for the label, or for this button, or for the text box we use set text. Set bounds, set background for background color, set foreground for font color, set mnemonic for shortcut, set visible to show or hide the control, set enabled to activate or deactivate the control. So like this, some common methods are there. Okay, so this is the code to place the button. Now you know how to place the button. Okay, directly write the code here. Open one empty Java file. Okay, so this is example on button. So button demo, button demo. Listen carefully. So first design a frame. First design a frame. So J frame F equals to new J frame. On frame, I want to get title as button demo. On frame, on window, I want to get title as button demo. Okay, I want to create J button object. Sorry. So before that, I want to set the size of the. I want to set size of the frame. So to set the size of the frame, what we write? F dot set size. I'm giving width as 1000, height as 600. Okay. So by default, set visible value is false. If you want to view the frame, we have to set visible property as true. And I don't want any layouts. So in the whenever we are working with the frame, in the end, write set visible property as a true. And if we don't want any layouts in the beginning, write f dot set layout of null. Set layout method. I don't want any layouts. Okay, so f dot set layout for the set layout method, pass the value as null. Okay, so no layout we want to use. Okay, so this is the code to display the frame. Okay, to the frame, if you want to apply the background color, if you want to apply the background color, what we are writing? F dot get component, sorry, get content pen, F dot get content pen, F dot get content pen dot set background, set background. Okay, I am giving color, or I'm giving cyan color. Okay, now observe, I'm saving this program with the name button demo. Okay, so here this JFrame is included in JFrame class available in Java X dot swing package. So write Java X dot swing dot star, and this color class available in AWT, in AWT Java dot AWT package. So write import Java dot AWT dot star. Okay, save it, compile it. Okay, then run it. See, there is displaying one window to us, button demo window that is displaying. On this window, I want to place the button. On this window, I want to place the button. Okay, so on this window, if you want to place the button, write the code here. Create object for JButton class. So JButton b1 equals to, or b equals to new JButton, new JButton. If you want to give the title here, you can give the title. So I'm giving title as click me. Where you want to place this button, we have to specify that one. B dot set bounds, set bounds. I'm giving x-axis value as 200, y-axis value as 100, width as 110, height as 70. Okay, then uh, where we want to place it, where we want to place it? On frame, on frame. Okay, so what we have to write? F dot add. So frame F dot add, which component we want to add? B1. This is the code. Save this one, compile it. Sorry, B. Object name is what? B. Save it, compile it, and run it. See, there is displaying one button to us. There's a button. Okay. See, this is the button. Click me button. Click me button, there is display. Okay, so x-axis value we have given as 200, y-axis value we have given as 100. So at this point, that is placing the button with the width 110, height 60. Okay, now for the button, I want to apply the background. So to apply the background, which property we use? F dot set background. Set background color dot. For example, I'm giving color as blue, and I want to set font color. For the font color, which property, which method we have to use? Foreground. Foreground method. So set background, set foreground. So set foreground for uh, font color. So write color dot. I'm giving color as white. So blue color background, white color text. Observe. Sorry. Uh, Not for the F, for the B, right? Not for the F, for the B. For the B object. Okay. See, observe here. They're displaying blue color background and white color text button. So by default, we cannot perform any action on the component. Observe here, I'm clicking on this button. There is not performing any action. I'm clicking on button. There is not performing any action. So if we want to perform the action, we have to add the listeners. Okay. So by default, we cannot perform any action with the components. So by default, okay, a component cannot perform any actions. A component cannot perform any actions. Okay, if we want to perform actions, if we want to perform, if we want to perform actions on components, if we want to perform actions, then add listeners. Add listeners. Then we have to add the listeners. Listeners concept is there. So by default, we cannot perform any action with the components. If you want to perform actions with the components, we have to add listeners. Okay. So just now we have seen the output of this program. The output of this program is that is displaying button to us. On this button, I'm clicking, but there is not performing any action here. So by default, any component will not perform any action. If you want to perform any action, we have to add listeners concept. We have to add a listener to the component. We have to add listener to the component. Then what is listener? What is the concept of this one? What is listener concept? See here. Let me explain. See, for example, assume that so this is a component. This is a component. Assume that this is a button. Button. Okay, click me button. So this is what, this is a component. This is a component. On this component, what we are doing? We are clicking. We are clicking on the component. So this click is called what? Event. Click is called what? Event. Now for this component, add the listener. Okay, what we have to add? Listener. We have to add listener. So that action will be captured by the listener, and this listener will call particular method. This listener will call particular method. So for example, here I'm defining method 1, or I'm defining method 2, or I'm defining method 3. So here we are adding the listener to the component. Okay, here we are adding listener. Here we are adding listener to component. So if we add listener to the component, when we perform any event, when we perform any action, okay, this listener captures that action, and this listener calls corresponding method based on the code. This listener calls the corresponding method. So actually listener is the interface. What is this listener? Listener is interface. Okay, several listeners are there, like action listener. Action listener is one interface. Like that key listener, one interface. Mouse listener, mouse listener, item listener, window listener. So like this, several listeners are there. All these listeners are what? Listeners are interfaces. So all listeners are what? Listeners are interfaces. These are the interfaces. So in those interfaces, some abstract methods are there. So those abstract methods we have to define. So that listener we add to the component. So when we perform an action on component, so when we click on button, implicitly this listener captures that action, whether we are clicking or double clicking or we are selecting the item. The listener captures the action and then it calls a corresponding method as per the code, as per that interface abstract methods, and as per our actions that calls corresponding method. So this model is called event delegation model. This model is called event delegation model. So this model is called event delegation model. So here we are taking one button. On button we are performing the action. We are taking one button. On button we are clicking. That is one action. So for this button we are adding the listener. Okay. So here listeners are the interfaces. So we define abstract methods here. So when we perform the action, that action will be captured by the listener. That action will be captured by the listener. That listener calls the corresponding method. Now action will be performed. This model is called event delegation model. Event means what? Action. Here we are performing the action. That action is delegated to the listener. Listener is directing to the method. Okay, action is captured by the listener. So action is given to the listener, and listener is calling the method. This mechanism is called event delegation model. Event means action. So here we are performing action on component like button or text box or combo box. On component we are performing the action. That action will be given to the listener. Now listener is giving that work to the listener is calling to the method. So button is delegating to listener, listener is delegating to the method. So that's why they have given name as event delegation model. This mechanism is called event delegation model. So if you want to perform any actions with the components, we have to add the listeners. Remember this. By default, a component cannot perform any action. By default, a component cannot perform any action. If you want to perform actions on the components like button, combo box, checkbox, we have to add listeners. These listeners are the interfaces. What are the examples for listeners? Like action listener, key listener, mouse listener, item listener, focus listener. All these are the listeners. So when we perform the action on component, that will be delegated to the listener, that will be submitted to the listener, and listener calls corresponding method. Listener submits that to the method. So that in that method, code is there, that code will get executed. Hence, we can perform the action on component. This procedure is called event delegation model. Okay. So now, just now we have seen this program. Okay, but we are placing one button. We are placing one button on frame. So see here, I'm running this. Observe. I'm clicking on component. That is not performing any action because we didn't add any listener here. We didn't add any listener. For this component, we have to add the listener. Okay, for the button, we add action listener. So we have to add action listener for the button. So that I explain in the next program. So now see the next program. Observe carefully here. Okay, or otherwise here, here I'm taking one empty Java file. empty Java file. Okay, listen carefully here. Now my task is, I want to design a frame like this. So design a frame. Okay, so this is colors frame. Colors. I want to get title as colors. So here I want to place three buttons. First button is red, second button is blue, third button is green. So I'm taking three buttons. When I click on red button, that should display red color as the background color to this frame. When I click on blue, that should display blue color as the background to the frame. When I click on green, that should display green color as the background to the frame. So whenever we are clicking on red button, that should apply red color as the background. Whenever we click on blue, that should apply blue color as the background. Whenever we click on green button, that should apply green color as a background. This is my program. This, okay. So we have to place how many buttons here? Three buttons. Okay. So first design the frame. Listen carefully. Okay. See, I'm giving this class name as colors demo. I'm giving class name as colors demo. Okay. So what I'm doing is, in the main method, I'm not defining the frame. In the main method, I'm not defining the frame. So what I'm doing is, so here I want to create object for this colors demo class. I want to create object for this colors demo class. So for the colors demo class, I'm creating the object. For the colors demo class, I'm creating the object now. So you already know, when we create the object, constructor will be called. When we create the object, constructor will be called. So in the constructor, inside of constructor, I want to design the components inside of the constructor. So when we create the object, form should be designed, frame should be designed. So that's why I'm defining the designing code in the constructor. So here I'm defining the constructor. This is the constructor. Okay. So now I want to design, I'm taking class variables here. I'm taking class variables. Okay. I'm taking the variable jframe f. F is the object. So this frame, I want to create the frame. So create frame object here in the constructor. So when we create the object, constructor will be called. So when the constructor is called, frame will be created. I'm giving this frame title as colors. Frame title as colors. Okay, I want to set the size. So f dot size, f dot set size, f dot set size. I'm giving width as 1000 and height as 600. Okay, so by default, set visible property is false. So I'm setting that as a true. And I don't want any layouts. So if you don't want any layouts, then call set layout method, f dot set layout as null. So this is the code to get the frame. You already know. I'm saving this with the name colors demo. With the name colors demo. Colors demo. With the name colors demo. Okay, colors demo.java. I'm saving this one. Observe carefully. Okay. Import java x dot swing dot star. Save it. Compile it. Sorry, jframe, right? Okay, not frame, jframe. Okay, see, that is displaying one frame to us. Frame title is colors. Okay, now listen carefully here. So I want to apply one default color. Okay, so set f dot get content pane. So on content pane we place the components. So on content pane only we place the components. So on get content pane dot f dot get content pane. So to the frame, in the content pane part, I want to apply the background color. So to apply the background color, set background method I'm calling, set background. Okay, color dot, I'm giving color name as cyan, color dot cyan. I'm saving this one. I'm compiling this. Okay, this color is in the AWT package. So right, import java.awt.start. Compile and run. See, okay. On this, I want to place the button now. I want to place the button. Okay, so this is the code to design the frame. So here what we are doing, we are defining this code in the constructor, not in the main method. We are defining this code in the constructor. So in the main method, we are creating the object. So when we create the object, this constructor will be called and that frame will be created. On frame, I want to create the button. So to create the button, declare a variable here, class variable. Declare a property here in the class. So j button variable I'm giving as b1. Variable I'm giving as b1. Okay, so b1 equals to new button. B1 equals to new button. Okay, so if you understand this thing, if you understand this program, nothing is there in this fix. So remaining programs, okay, easily you can understand, easily you can do. So just understand listener's concept. Okay, how can we perform the actions on button? If you understand this, so remaining controls you can understand very easily. Nothing is there in the fix. Just listener's concept is very important. So b1 equals to new button. I am giving button name caption as red because we want to create red button. Okay, now set the positions here. I'm setting the positions as b1 dot set bounds. I'm giving x-axis value as 200, y-axis value as 100. Okay, or then width as 100, height as 60. This is one button. Where we want to place it? On frame. So f dot add b1. F dot add b1. Okay, save this one, compile it. Sorry, not button, j button. In the AWT we use button. So in the strings, j button. Okay, see, one button is created. One button is created, but that is not performing any action. Now I want to perform action on this button. I want to perform action on this button. So I already told, to add the listeners, we have to use one concept, that is event delegation model concept. So now component is what? Button. On button I am clicking. Okay, so we have to add the listener now. So this listener captures our action, our clicking action, and that calls corresponding method. So actually what are listeners? Listeners are the interfaces. So to add the which listener we can add to the button? So to the button we can add action listener. So action listener is one interface. So this listener we have to add to the button. So what is action listener? Action listener is the interface. This is the interface. It has only one abstract method. It has one abstract method. It has one abstract method. What is the signature of that one abstract method? See here, public void action performed. Action performed. Action performed. Here argument type is action event. Action event. So this abstract method is there in the action listener. So if you want to perform any action, okay, we have to do some steps. So to add listener to button, steps to add listener to, steps to add action listener, steps to add action listener to button, steps to add action listener to button. So if you want to add action listener to the button, define implementation clause of action listener. Define implementation clause of action listener. Okay, so which code we want to execute, which action we want to perform, that code define in the action performed method. So override action performed. So action performed is the abstract method, no code is there. So that's why we are overriding action performed method. Override action performed method. Override action performed method. Okay, so now add this listener, add listener to the component. Okay, so add listener to the component. Add the listener to the component. That's it. These Three steps we have to follow. So first step is define implementation class of action listener. Second step is what? Override action performed method. Third step is what? Add listener to the component. These are three steps we have to follow to add action listener to the button. Okay, here component is button. Button is a component. These three steps we have to follow. Okay, now I'm following these three steps. Observe here. I'm making this class. I'm making this colors demo class as the implementation class of action listener because we want to perform action. So we have to define implementation class of action listener. So I am making this as the implementation class. Implements action listener. Implements action listener. Okay, then override the method. Which method we have to override? It has only one abstract method. This is the abstract method. This abstract method we have to override. Public void action performed action event E. This method we have to override here. We have to override. Okay, so here we have to write the code for our understanding purpose. Just simply I'm writing one printing statement here, system.out.println hello. So whenever we click on that button, whenever we click on the button, that displays what? Hello. That displays hello on output screen. Whenever we click on the button, that displays hello on output screen. Okay, so that action I'm defining in this action performed method. Here we are overriding action performed method, which is in the interface action listener. So we are making this class as the implementation class, and here we are overriding the action performed method. So two steps are over. Two steps are over. We defined implementation class, and we have overridden action performed method. Third step is what? Add listener to the component. So on which component we want to perform the action? On button. When we are clicking on button, so to the button we have to add the listener. So button. So b1 dot add action listener. Add action listener. On which object we have to specify? On which object? On current object. So write this here. Okay. So on current object, to the button we are adding the action listener. So when we are clicking on the button, that action will be captured by action event. Okay, so that internally that calls this action performed method. That action will be passed to the action event method. This code will get executed when we are performing action. So which action we perform on the button? We click on it. So when we click on this button 1, implicitly this action performed method will be called. Action performed method will be called, and that action will be captured by that clicking action will be captured by action event that executes this code. Hence we can add the listener by following these three steps. So in the event delegation model, we are performing action on the component. That action will be submitted to the listener. That listener is calling corresponding method. Here we are performing action on button. Okay, that is submitted to the action listener. So action listener is calling this action performed, and that is passing our clicking as the argument or clicking action, and that is executing this code. This model is called event delegation model. Save it. Now compile it. Okay, so where this action listener is available, these are the events. So all the events are available in the package java.awt. So actually Java is what? Java is a folder. In the Java folder, awt is another folder. In the awt folder, another folder is there, event folder. In the event folder, this action listener class is available. So here I'm writing star. So this is import statement we have to write java.awt.event.star. Okay, so this all the event related classes are defined in the java.awt.event package. So till now we used only two folder names. Now we are using three folder names: java.awt.event.star. Save this one, compile it, okay, and run it. See, observe carefully here. Observe carefully. I'm clicking on red. That is printing hello here. Again, I'm clicking on red. So whenever I'm clicking on red, that is printing what? Hello. So there is perform particular action here. So hence we can perform particular actions. But now my task is I don't want to print hello on output screen. I want to apply red color as the background. I want to apply red color as the background. Okay, to the frame. So write f dot get content pane. To the content pane, I want to apply the background. So f dot get content pane dot set background. Set background. So which color we want to apply? Color dot which color we want to apply? Red color. Red color we want to apply. Now observe carefully here. I'm saving this one. I'm compiling it and I'm running it. Observe. I'm clicking on red. That is displaying red color as a background. So when you click on red button, there is applying red color as a background. So similarly, I want to add two more. One second, I'm running. So when we are clicking on red button, sorry. So when we are clicking on red button, so implicitly that is calling which method? Action performed method. Because here we are performing one action, we are clicking on button. That will be submitted to the action listener. So that action listener is implicitly calling action performed method. That action performed method will get executed. So in the action performed method, we have written applying background color to the frame. That code we have written. So that's why there is applying background color here. So similarly, I want to place two more controls. Okay, just directly I'm copying this code and I'm pasting here. Okay, so now where we want to place for this button, I'm giving name as button 2. So this is what? This is button 2. Button 2 f dot add button 2. This is sorry. Okay, see here. So button 2, for the button 2 I'm giving blue as the caption, blue as the text. So where we want to give the position. So y-axis value is same. I want to change x-axis value. So x-axis value I'm giving as 400. X-axis value I'm changing. Y-axis value is same. In the same line I want to get. Okay. Now save here. Save this code. Save this code. Compile it. Okay. B2 we have to declare. We didn't declare B2 here. So J button comma B2. Okay. Observe carefully. That's creating another button here. Another button is there. So I'm clicking on red. That is applying red color. Okay. I'm clicking on blue, but that is not displaying blue color. I want to get blue color now. Whenever I click on this blue button, that should display blue color to us. So for this, okay. So if you write color dot blue here, if you write color dot blue, now blue color will be applied. Okay. So on which button we want to apply now? For the second button, right? For the second button. For the second button we want to apply. So for the second button, add action listener. For the second button, add action listener. Okay. If you write code like this, whenever you are clicking on button 2 also, this action performed method will be called. So whenever you are clicking on button blue, then also that displays red color only. Whenever you are clicking on red color, that is applying red color only. Whenever you are clicking on blue button, that's applying red color only. Because here we are adding action listener. We are adding action listener means implicitly that calls action performed method. So that is applying red color only. So here what we have to do is we have to identify which button we are clicking. Here we have to identify which button we are clicking. So with the help of this e variable, we can identify that one. Okay. Now call a method e dot get source. This get source method gives whether you are performing action on button 1 or button 2 or frame, that will be captured by this get source method. So get source method return type is object type. So object ob I'm taking here. Object ob. So if you are clicking on button 1, this e dot get source returns b1. If you are clicking on button 2, this e dot get source returns b2. So here check here, what is the ob value? If ob value is b1, means you are clicking on button 1. So if you are clicking on button 1, that should apply red color. Else if o- OB equals to B2, means you are clicking on button 2. Okay, which color we have to apply? Blue color. So copy it and paste here. So color dot blue, color dot blue. Okay, this is the code. That's it, very simple. So here we are checking, here we are capturing which button we are clicking. That value is in the OB. So if you are clicking on button 1, this E dot get source value will become B1. If you are clicking on button 2, this E dot get source value will become B2. So if that value I am holding in the OB, so if OB value is B1, apply red color. If OB value is B2, apply blue color. So if you are clicking on button 1, that applies red color. If you are clicking on button 2, that applies blue color. Now observe here, save it, compile it, and run it. See, now I'm clicking on red. I'm clicking on red means internally that captures which value? B1 value. Action event. The, for the action event variable is what? E. Okay. So E dot get source we are calling. So that value will become what? B1. So B1 you are calling means red color will be applied. Now I'm clicking on second button means B2. Okay. So B2 means blue color will be applied. Okay. You are clicking on red color is applied. If you are clicking on blue color is applied. So hence we can apply the colors. Okay. Similarly, I want to define another button. I want to define another button green. I want to define another button green. So for that, I'm copying this code. Very simple. Copying this code and I'm pasting here. Declare button 3 here. Button 3. Okay. So here B3 equals to new J button. Give the caption. I'm giving caption as green. I'm giving caption as green. Okay. Where we want to place it? For example, I want to place it at 600 position. Okay, x-axis value I'm changing, y-axis value same, B3. Okay, add listener. So write B3 dot add action listener. Add action listener. So we are adding action listener to the button here. Okay, B3. So now if you are clicking on button 1, that applies red color. If you are clicking on button 2, that applies blue color. If you are clicking on button 3, so to check that, else if OB equals to B3, OB equals to B3, then that should display, sorry, green color. So I'm copying this code, I'm pasting here. So just simply change the color as green. Change the color as green. Change the color as green. Save it. Save it. Compile it and run it. Sorry. This one is B3, right? B3. Okay. So 3 buttons are there. 3 buttons are there. I'm clicking on red. There is applying red color. I'm clicking on blue. Blue color. I'm clicking on green. Green color. Okay. So hence we can apply the colors. Okay. So this is colors program. Hence we can perform actions on buttons. So to perform actions on buttons, we have to add action listener. So to add action listener, we have to follow 3 steps. Define implementation class of the action listener, override action performed method, then add listener to the component. These 3 steps we have to follow. So this is the program. Now my program is listen carefully. Now I want to explain another program. So I want to explain 2 more programs. Okay, listen. Uh, so next control is, now you know about label. Label is used to display the titles. Label is used to display the titles. If we want to display the titles, we use this label. And button is used to perform particular actions. Button is used to perform particular actions. So to perform particular actions, we use it. Okay, when we click on print button, that should print the data. When we click on save button, that should save the data. When we click on delete button, that should delete the data, like that. So to perform particular actions, we are using button. So similarly, another control is there. Okay, that is J text field. So this is J label. This one is J button. Next control is what? J text field. Next control is J text field. J text field class. J text field. J text field is a class. Okay. So what is the purpose of this control? What is the purpose of this control? This control is used to enter and edit the text. Used to enter and edit the text at runtime. Enter and edit the text. Okay. So at runtime, we cannot edit the label or we cannot edit the button. So in the text box, we can enter and edit the data. In the text box, we can enter and edit the data. So regularly, whenever we are logging into the Facebook or whenever we are logging into the Gmail, we are using login form. So their text boxes are there. In the text boxes, you are typing your username and your password. Okay. So you are entering the data and editing the data at runtime. Whenever you are using that application, you are entering the data, and if any mistakes are there, you are modifying the data. So to enter and edit the data, we use this text field, J text field. Okay. So now I want to design a frame like this. I want to design a frame. This is a frame. On frame, I want to place a label here. I want to place a label. Enter A. In this text box, I want to enter A value. Okay. And I want to place another label. Enter B value. Here I'm placing text box, text field. So two J labels and two J text fields. And below of that, I want to place three buttons. One is sum. Okay. Another one is subtract. Okay. One is add, another one is subtract, and another one is clear. I want to place these three buttons on the frame. This is my task. So place two labels, two text boxes, and three buttons. Design like this. Okay. So what we want to do here, I am giving A value as 10 and B value as 5. So whenever I click on sum, that should display here. I want to take another label. This is another label. In this label, I want to display the result sum equals to 15. If I click on subtract, that should display difference equals to 5. If I click on clear, that should clear all these text boxes. Okay, that is my task. So here I want to perform arithmetic operations by using this form like addition, subtraction. Okay, so design the form. Okay, you already know the concept. So firstly, I'm writing the code. Observe carefully here. I'm opening empty Java file. Okay, uh, so text field demo. Text field demo. I'm giving class name as text field demo. So create object for text field demo class. Create object for text field demo class. Text field demo. Okay. Now here define the constructor. Constructor name is text field demo. Text field demo. So when we create the object, this constructor will be called. So what we want JFrame F, and we want to place labels J label, J label. How many labels we want? Three labels: L1, L2, L3. Okay. How many text boxes? So J text field, J text field. How many text boxes we want? Two text boxes, T1, T2. How many buttons we want? Three buttons. So J button, button 1, button 2, button 3. Okay. So we want three buttons, three labels, enter A, enter B, and result. Okay, two text boxes. So those variables I declared. We have to create the objects now. Okay. So now I'm creating frame object here. So F equals to new JFrame. F equals to new JFrame. New JFrame. Okay. I'm giving this form name as arithmetic. Here we are performing arithmetic operations by using this app, by using this window. Okay. So I set the size f dot set size, I'm giving size as 1000 width and 600 height. Okay. So f dot set visible property as true. Okay. F dot set layout value null. set layout value null, set layout value null. Okay, now write the import statement here. Write import java dot java x dot string dot java x dot string dot store. Save it. Save this with the name text field demo. Text field demo dot java. Compile it. Here semicolon missed. Compile it. JFrame spelling mistake. Spelling mistake. Save it. Compile it and run it. See, that is displaying arithmetic window to us. On this window, I want to place label text box. Okay, so to place the label on the frame, I'm writing the code now. So label names we have already given. So L1 label I'm creating now. L1 equals to new J label. Which label we want? Enter a value. Enter a value. This label we want. Okay. Then see L1 dot set bounds. L1 dot set bounds. Where we want to place this label, we have to specify. Okay, at a 200 x-axis value, at 100 y-axis value. Okay, with the width 200, with the width 200 and with the height 40, I want to create this control. So f dot add on frame, I want to place it. So write f dot add L1. F dot add L1. Save this one, compile it and run it. See, that is displaying enter a here. Enter a. So beside of this enter a, I want to get a text field now. Here I want to get text field. Enter a text that is displaying. Okay. Here I want to get text field. So to get text field, so label is already placed. Okay. To place the text field, write T1 equals to new text field. New text field. New text field. Okay. I don't want to display any data, so don't write any text here. Okay. Then T1 dot set bounds. Set bounds. Okay. I am giving x-axis value as 400. X-axis value is 400. Okay, so y-axis value I'm giving same in the same line I want. I'm giving width as a 200, height as 40. Okay, where we want to get it? On frame. So f dot add of T1. So now text box will be placed. Okay, observe carefully here. So this is not text field, J text field, right? Save it, compile and run. See, that is displaying text box here. That is displaying text box. Okay, so this is the text box. Okay, so enter a. Here we have to enter the a value. Next, so this is the label, this is the text box. Similarly, I want to create another label and another text box. So I'm copying this label code here. I'm copying label code, I'm pasting here. So this is what this is L2. Okay, L2. L2. Okay, here I'm giving caption as text as enter B. Now x-axis value I'm giving same. Y-axis value I'm changing here. Y-axis value I'm giving as 150. Y-axis value I'm giving as 150. Okay, check here where it is displaying. See, there is displaying enter B here. Enter B. So beside of that, I want to place another text box. I want to place another text box. So I'm copying this code now. Okay. So T2 equals to new J text field T2 dot set bounds F dot T2. Okay. Here specify x-axis value is same 300. Y-axis value I'm changing. Y-axis value I'm giving as 150. So beside of this label 2, in the same line of label 2 we want to get, so give 150 here. Save it, compile and run. See, there is displaying enter A. Here we have to enter A value, here we have to enter B value. Okay, then below of that I want to get buttons. I want to get 3 buttons. Below of that I want to get 3 buttons. So to create the button, write b1 equals to new j button. First button, for the first button I am giving caption as add. For addition I'm defining it. So b1 dot set bounds, set bounds. So I am giving x-axis value as 250, x-axis value as 250, okay, and y-axis value as 200, okay, width as 100, height as 50. So where we want to place it? On frame. So write f dot add b1. Save it, compile and run. Observe here, add button placed here. Add button placed. Okay. Give 200. See, add button placed. Then I want to create another button. I want to create another button. So I'm copying this and I'm pasting here. Sorry, it is not copied. Copy it, paste here. So this is B2. For the B2, I'm giving title as subtract. So B2, B2. Where we want to place it? I'm changing x-axis value. I'm giving x-axis value as 330. Okay. Then I want to place another button. For this button, I'm giving caption as clear. 430 I'm giving. Okay, see here, there's displaying add button, subtract button and a clear button. Okay, so 3 buttons came. Okay, so 3 buttons are there: add, subtract and clear. Now see, we have to write the code. Now we have to write the code. So whenever we click on add button, whenever we are clicking on add button, okay, so add another label here, add another label to get the result. To get the result, add another label. Sorry, here, this is button 3, button 3, button 3, button 3. So this is the designing. So add button, subtract button, clear button. So this is the designing. Okay, so where we want to get result, below of this I want to get one label here. So here I want to get label. In the label I want to display the result. So place the label here. So to place the third label, I'm copying this code. Okay, so I'm changing the y-axis value 200. Okay, don't give any label because we want result at runtime. At runtime we want result. So L3 dot set bounds f dot L3. So designing part is over. Designing part is over. Now we have to write the code. So successfully we designed this form. Okay, so whenever we are clicking on here, we enter values like 20, 30. Whenever I click on add button, that should display addition value. Whenever I click on subtract value should be displayed. And whenever I click on clear, that should clear all text boxes. That is our program. So to perform actions with the button, what we have to do? We have to define implementation class of action listener. So right, implementation implements action listener. Then override a method. Override which method? Public void action performed method. Override action performed method. For this, argument type is action event E, starting point of method, ending point of method. Okay. Now see, so here we have to check which button is clicked. So which button is clicked? I want to capture that one. So write E dot get source. E dot get source. The return type of get source method is object type. So object OB I'm taking here. Object OB. So if OB value equals to, if OB value equals to B1, means button 1, means you are clicking on add button. So before that I want to capture the values. Listen carefully here. So I want to capture in the text box 1 we are entering the data. This data I want to capture. In the text box 2 we are entering the data. That data I want to capture. So to capture the text box data, to capture the text field data, what we write is we call one method get text method. T1 dot get text. So the data which you are entering in the text box, that data will be captured now. T1 dot get text. So here we want to add two numbers. So that captures that value as a string. Get text means return type is a string. That string value I'm converting into the integer by calling parse int method. Parse int method. So in the text box 1, see here, this is a text box 1. In the text box 1, so on output screen what it is displaying? Enter A here. So that is displaying enter A. I am entering A value as 15. This 15 value will be captured by this get text method. But this 15 is the string value. This 15 is the string value now. I want to convert this to the integer. So I'm calling integer.parseInt method. Okay, that value I'm capturing in the variable, integer variable x. Similarly, I want to capture the text box 2 value. So write t2.getText. Second value I'm capturing. There is a string value. So convert this string value to the integer. So to convert this string value to the integer, write integer.parseInt. This value I'm capturing in the variable y. Hence, we can capture the values of text box. Okay. Now, when we click on button 1, what we want to do in the L3, we want to display the text. So write L3 dot set text of which text we want to display now. I want to display like this: sum equals to concatenation operator. Write the formula for addition: x plus y. So here we are performing addition. So on L3 label, the displays sum equals to. Observe carefully here. I'm saving it. I'm compiling it. Oh, action listener. Write import statement. There is an event. So write import statement here. Import java.awt.event.star. Save this one. Compile it and run it. See, I am entering A value as 10, B value as 5. I'm clicking on add. Sorry, let me check. Sorry, we didn't add. We didn't add the listener, right? We didn't add action listener. So to add action listener, b1 dot add action listener. This third step we missed. We didn't perform. So b1 dot add action listener this. Okay. Similarly, add for b2 and add for b3. For the b2, we are adding action listener, and for the b3 also we are adding action listener. Save it, compile it, and run it. See, I'm entering x value as 15. Sorry, a value as 15, b value as 5. I'm clicking on add. There is displaying sum equals to. So in the change y-axis value, change y-axis value for L3. Okay, I'm giving 300 here. Save it, compile it, and run it. I'm giving a value as 15, b value as 20. I'm clicking on add. What is it displaying? Sum equals to 35. See, observe here. There is displaying sum equals to 35. We got the result. So I'm changing the values. I'm giving a value as 50 and b value as 20. I'm clicking on add. There is displaying sum equals to 70 now. Okay, I'm changing b value 100. I'm clicking on add. There is displaying sum equals to 150. Hence, we can use this app for addition. Okay, similarly, I want to perform subtraction. Okay, when we want to perform subtraction, when we are clicking on second button, so check whether second button clicked or not. Okay, so if second button clicked, if ob equals to b2, then l3 dot set text of difference equals to concatenation operator x minus y, save it, compile it, and run it. Observe, I am giving a value as 60 and b value as 40. I'm clicking on add button, there is displaying sum equals to 100. I'm clicking on subtract button, there is displaying difference here, difference equals to 20, 60 minus 40, 20. So whenever I'm clicking on add, there is displaying some value. Whenever I'm clicking on subtract, there is displaying difference value. Okay, next I'm changing the values here. I'm giving 560. Okay, this value I'm giving as 100. I'm clicking on add, sum equals to 660. Subtract, difference equals to 460. Like this. So addition it is doing, subtraction it is doing. Similarly, whenever I click on clear button, that should clear these two text boxes. So to clear the text boxes, write the code here. If ob equals to b3, if ob equals to b3, then which box we want to clear now? T1 box we want to clear. So T1 dot set text equals to, don't specify any text, right? Empty double quotes. That is a T1 value. Okay, and T2 value also same. T2 dot set text. T2 dot set text. Okay, save it, compile and run. I'm giving a value as 30, b value as 25. I'm clicking on add, sum equals to 55. I'm clicking on subtract, difference equals to 5. I'm clicking on clear, that is clearing the text boxes. After clearing, I want to get focus. I want to get focus in the a text box. Here I want to get the cursor. I want to get the focus. So to get the focus in the text box 1, we have to call one method, request to focus method. Call the method request to focus. Call the method request focus method. Save it, compile it, run it. See here, observe, last time I'm running, observe, I am giving a value as 63, b value as 15. I'm clicking on add, observe, there is displaying 78. Addition value. I'm clicking on subtract, subtraction value, difference value 48. I'm changing a value. I'm giving a value as 200, b value as 300. I'm clicking on add, so 500. Subtract, okay, minus 100, minus 100. I'm clicking on clearing, clear. That is clearing two text boxes and that is displaying cursor in the first text box. Okay. So hence we can perform arithmetic operations. Now I want to design one login form. So what I'm doing is I'm copying this code. So same designing we want now. So I'm copying this code and I'm pasting in the new file. Here. Observe carefully. This is the last program for today's class. Okay. Observe. I want to design a form like this. I want to design a frame like this. This is a frame. On this frame here, I want to display username label. This is a text box. In this text box, he has to enter username. Okay, this is the password. Password. Here, password we have to enter. Okay, so after that, which button we click? Login. After that, cancel button. If you want to clear all these text boxes, write clear. I want to take 3 buttons. So place 3 buttons, 2 text boxes, 2 labels on one frame. So designing is same. Okay, just we don't want this label. Okay, otherwise if you take that label also no problem. Okay, So I'm changing the file name here. I'm changing the file name. So this is login demo, login demo. Sorry, I want to find for text field demo, text field demo. So wherever text field demo is there, I want to replace that with login, login demo, login demo. Replace all. Okay. So I changed the class names, everything. Okay. Then observe carefully. So designing is same. Just simply we have to change this code. Action performed code we have to change. This code we have to change. Okay. So and I don't want to take this label 3 also. This label 3 I don't want. For the first label I want to give caption as username, username. For the second label, password, password. Save this with the name login, login demo. Okay, so login form created. Okay, add subtract. I want to change these captions also. So for the first button, login. For the second button, cancel, cancel. And for the third button, clear. Save it, compile, and run. See, form is created. Here we have to enter username. Here we have to enter password. Then after entering password, we click on login. That has to check username and password. If valid user, that should display one message, welcome. Otherwise, that should display try again. So if I click on cancel, that should terminate this application. If I click on clear, that should clear these two text boxes. That is our code. So now, when we are clicking on first button, so whether we are clicking on first button or not, I want to check that one. So e dot get source. So return type is object type, object ob. So if you click on button one, so button for the button one, object name is b1. So e dot get source value will become b1. So that value we are holding in the ob, so ob value will become b1, like that. Okay. So see, I want to capture username and password. I want to capture username and password. Okay. So or directly I'm writing the code. So t1 dot, otherwise capture it. T1 dot get text. So t1 has some data I'm capturing in the string variable, in the string variable s1. So in the text one we are entering what username. That username I'm holding in s1. String s2 equals to password I'm holding in the text in the s2. So password where we are entering in the t2 get text. Now username value which we entered at runtime is in the s1. S1 has username. Okay, in the text 2 we are entering password. That password is in the s2. So if username is Raj and password is Kumar, so in the real time we check with the database. In the database, all usernames and passwords will be there. So in the real time that checks with the database. Okay, here I'm using my own names. Those are username is Raj and password is Kumar. So when username is Raj, password is Kumar, that should display message as welcome. So what I'm writing is if s1 dot equals method, s1 value is equals to Raj. If s1 value is Raj, means in the text one Raj, and user means username is Raj. And s2 dot equals of Kumar. So password is Kumar. Then if these both conditions are true, okay, when this code should get executed, when we click on button one. So if ob equals to b1, then that should check username and password. So if username is Raj and password is Kumar, okay, if s1 value is Raj and s2 value is Kumar, then that should display one message box to us. So to get the message box, we use We write like this: J option pen, J option pen dot show message dialog. Show message dialog method we use. So J option pen dot show message dialog. So when we want to display this message box, when we are clicking on button 1, so we are specifying that one, button 1, button 1. Which message we want to display? Welcome. Say welcome to the Raj. Welcome Raj. Okay. So this message we want to get. Else, otherwise, we want to display the message as show message dialog. Okay. Invalid user, invalid username or password. Please try again. So invalid username or password. Invalid username or password. Try again. This is the code. Okay. So this code has to get execute when we are clicking on button 1. Okay. Now I'm saving this one. Compile it and run it. See, I'm entering username as Raj, password as Kumar. Password as Kumar. I'm clicking on login. What it is displaying? Welcome Raj. Welcome Raj message it is displaying. Okay. Like that. For example, I'm giving username as something and password as something. I'm clicking on login. What it is displaying? Invalid username or password. Try again. Okay. So whenever we click on OK button, that has to clear the text boxes. So for clearing text boxes, we can write the code. Okay. T1 dot set text. T1 dot set text null. T2 dot set text null. Where we want to get the cursor? In the T1, I want to get the cursor. In the T1, I want to get the cursor. So T1 dot request focus. Cursor will be blinked in the T1. So this code we are writing in this else block. Else block has multiple statements. We must write curly braces. I'm saving this one. I'm compiling it and I'm running it. Observe carefully here. I'm entering username as Sinu and some password I'm entering. I'm clicking on login. It is displaying invalid username or password. Try again. Whenever I clicking on OK button, that is clearing the text boxes and displaying in the username. I'm entering username as Raj, password as Kumar. Now correct username and password that displays welcome Raj. Okay. So whenever I clicking on OK, that should display another window to work with that window. Like that, we can write the code. So whenever I click on cancel button, that should close the application. So write the code for button 2. So if OB equals to B2, if OB equals to B2, so to terminate the program, we can use one static method, exit of 0, system dot exit of 0. So to display the message box, which method we are using? Show message dialog. So this method is a static method available in the J option pen class. So to terminate the application, we call exit method. This is the static method defined in the system. See here, I'm clicking on cancel. Sorry, of OB equals to B2. B2 dot add action listener. Else if. Some bracket mistakes are there. So I'm clicking on cancel, that is terminating the application. Okay, once again I'm running, I'm clicking on cancel, that is closing the application. So this is the code for closing the application. So to clear the text boxes, already you know the code. Okay, so you can write in one particular method, you can call that one to reduce the redundancy. So same code we are writing again and again. So define this code in another method, call that method. So I'm copying that code and I'm pasting here. So define this code separately in a method, call that method. So that reduces the code. Save it, compile it, and run it. See, I'm typing username and password. I'm clicking on clear. That's clearing. I am giving some username and password. I'm clicking on login. That's displaying invalid username or password. Try again. That's clearing text boxes and displaying cursor in the text box one. I'm giving username as Raj, password as Kumar. That is displaying. Whenever we click on login, that is displaying message as welcome Raj. Okay, I'm clicking on clear. That's clearing the text boxes. I'm clicking on cancel. That is terminating the application. So this is the login form. Okay, now you may get a doubt. So here we are typing the password. That is displaying those password characters. That is displaying those password characters. So it should not be display these characters. So in such type of situations, you have to use J password field. We have to use J password field. So define J password field here. Define J password field. This is another control. So use J password field. If you want to text, use J text field. If you want password, use J password field. Okay. So here also, that is which text box T2. So T2 equals to new password field, new J password field. Okay. Now save it, compile it, and run it. Observe carefully here. I am giving username as Raj, password as Kumar. It is displaying dots. I'm typing password here. That is displaying what? Dots. That is displaying dots. So this is what? Password field, J password field. Okay. So I'm clicking on login. That is displaying invalid username or password. I'm clicking on OK. That is clearing. Okay. I'm giving Raj, and I'm clicking on Kumar. Sorry. I'm typing password. I'm giving password as Kumar. I'm giving correct password. I'm clicking on login. Welcome Raj. I'm clicking on clear. That is clearing all text boxes. I'm clicking on cancel. That is terminating the application. So hence you can develop the login forms. Okay. So this is about J button, J text field, and J password field. So now I'm stopping the session. So very clearly we discussed. Okay, regularly you use these controls. Okay, you already know the purpose. Just we have seen the code. Okay, very simple to work with the text box. To write the text, set text method. The value which is in the text box, if you want to get that, use get text method. So the return type is string. If you want integer, convert it to the integer. If you want float, convert it to the float by using the wrapper clauses. So these two methods are important when we are working with the text box. If you want to get the cursor in one particular text box, we use request focus method. If you want to clear any text box, we set a text box value as empty double quotes. So these things are important. Okay. Now I'm stopping this session.